Welcome to the Startup Sessions, the #1 web show and podcast for trusting your gut, breaking the rules, and starting something meaningful. Featuring in-depth interviews with acclaimed creative entrepreneurs that have succeeded at building their own remarkable businesses. I'm your host, Michael Knouse, and I am so excited to be bringing you the third installment in our series about doing work that matters, doing the work that you can't not do. And today I'm speaking with Kedma Ough, who is hands down one of the most mission-driven entrepreneurs that I have ever met. Kedma has a laser focus on two things. Number one, removing obstacles for entrepreneurs to succeed. And number two, showing people how to live in a world where they wake up excited about their life every single day. You know, I could say so many great things about Kedma, but this discussion is so rich that we're just going to jump right into it. It's all coming to you right now on episode 29. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Startup Sessions. As you know, we're in week 3 of talking about doing a business that matters, starting a business that matters, doing that work that you can't not do. And today I'm joined by a visionary entrepreneur, someone who I see as a change agent, someone who is really a champion for inventors, entrepreneurs, small businesses, women, minorities, persons with disabilities. Kedma, you serve a lot of people, a big audience, and it's very inspiring to me. So welcome, Kedma Ough, to the show today.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you for hosting me. I'm honored to be on.
Oh, great. I love it. I love it that you're here. I met Kedma through an amazing leader and friend here in Portland, Katie Kelly. And so I've had the chance to speak with Kedma before, and you know what? You're just not going to find a more passionate and driven, like pure entrepreneur out there. Kedma, you just embody that pioneer spirit, that entrepreneur spirit. So I'm super excited to be talking to you today, and I know it's going to come through. People are going to know what I'm talking about here in just a minute. Let me do a little introduction here for Kedma to set the stage. Kedma is well, first of all, you're driven by a desire to make a difference. I know that because we've spoken before. Yeah. You've recently won the National Small Business Influencer Award and Small Business Administration Champion of the Year for 2013. Correct. And just so people know, let's put this into perspective. This is the National Small Business Champion of the Year for 2013. That's a huge, I have no idea how many people were in the running for this, but like anything you want to say about that? Because to me, that's a huge accomplishment.
I think that first of all, I want to say there's a lot of champions out there, and most of the champions don't get recognized.
Yeah.
And I think that there are a few that do. And in this position, it was an opportunity to compete and win to be a Small Business Influencer of the Year. And what does it really mean to influence? It's to make a mark, to make a difference, to show up every single day, no matter what's going on. And so, you know, I am always privileged to be surrounded by people who get it, and who want to do the right thing for the right reason. Yeah. Right? So a lot of people want to do the right thing, but doing the right thing for the right reasons is where the game changer is.
Yeah, a very important distinction.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, thank you. So, also, I'm not done yet here. Kedma's the executive director of MIPO, which is a nonprofit that helps entrepreneurs bring their inventions to market. And we'll probably get more into that in our discussion. She's also the director of Avita Business Center, which aligns small business consulting services with women, minorities, and persons with disabilities.
Correct.
So, Kedma, you're also a mom of 3 boys, correct?
Yes, 3 boys.
Your wife, you love to travel. So really my first question is, like, when do you sleep?
I actually don't sleep. You know, it's really interesting. If you look at a lot of inventors from the past, you know, Albert Einstein, and many of those inventors where you think, how does their brain work? I have a brain that takes mini naps. And so during those mini naps, you know, I get my energy and my buzz, and then I don't sleep sometimes for long periods of time, and I take small moments to sleep. And then a lot of times I wake up at night and I have an aha moment. And usually when I have those aha moments, I have to call someone. So my sister will get a phone call at 2 in the morning. And she's never happy with it. Because I have to share it with someone. So that's, I'm really excited about life, and so I use sleep to just re-energize myself, but not to use it as an escape.
Okay. I love that perspective. And I guess your sister's used to it by now, right?
Yes, she's used to it. She always says to me, please call me at a reasonable time to tell me about your aha. And I say, ahas don't happen in a reasonable time. They don't happen at 3 in the afternoon or after lunch. It's usually when you're sleeping. That's when the aha moment happens. So.
Maybe she just needs to change time zones so that it's a more reasonable hour.
Right. Or I may have to find friends in other time zones that will appreciate this.
There you go. I love it. Well, hey, Kedma, since we're talking about doing work that matters this month, first question for you. It's kind of generic, but I think it's important. What drives you to make the difference that you make through your businesses?
I can give you the standard, or I can tell you the truth. So
we want the truth.
You want the truth. The truth is that sometimes when people walk into my office, they see a beautiful office, that I've purchased in 2008. They see, well-established company, and they presume, wow, she's lucky because, this has been given to her. She has opportunity. Yeah. What drives me is I came from a very difficult childhood. And unfortunately, at a very young age, I had to seek hiding. I was in hiding for 3 years. And as a result of that, I had to fight for my education because I basically was homeless. I had no job and no means to get an education. And so I actually did something unique. I went before the financial committee of the college. I was 18 years old, and I pleaded my case. And they went to deliberate on my situation because they'd never come across something at this level. And during that deliberation, I basically asked the secretary for a piece of paper and pen, and I wrote a letter to God. And I said that if the college would come back with an opportunity, then for the rest of my life, I would use that opportunity and open doors for every single person I meet. So when I am driven, it's beyond where I am today. It's a promise I made a long, long time ago. And the reason I make that and I continue to make that promise is because a group of people believed in me when they had no reason to. And so I have that same philosophy. I focus on where people are going to go, not where they are today.
Okay.
And that's what drives me. It's that simple.
Yeah. That's a powerful driver. And I think many of us have those pivotal moments in our life where we make those decisions that we can really harness that energy to carry us forward. And you've certainly done that and continue to do that. So is that really then the spark that led to you creating the current businesses that you have today?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because I champion the underserved. I fight every day to level the playing field.
Yeah.
I think everybody deserves the opportunity, but the problem we have is that a lot of times the playing field is unfair.
Yeah.
And so my job is to open it up. See, if I show you, Michael, how to find the opportunities and educate you on that, and then you choose not to pursue it, it's no longer my problem.
Yeah.
But if you don't know how to get into those opportunities, or you don't know how to play in the game, or you don't know where the party is, and that prevents you from moving forward, whether it's finding the funding, whether it's finding the opportunity, whether it's finding the connection, I consider that my problem.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and that's the role I live in. I live in economic development, which means how do we create a community, either locally or nationally or internationally, that allows for open opportunity, open innovation, open entrepreneurship. And part of that conversation requires access. And that's my job.
Okay. So you are, and because I know this about your businesses, you're providing access on many levels
Absolutely.
for many different kinds of entrepreneurs, oftentimes
Absolutely.
in difficult or more disadvantaged situations.
Absolutely.
But
That is correct.
but when the work that you do really levels, the way I see it, it levels the playing field for those that may be disadvantaged to where they've got access now to a lot of the same things that, everyone else might. So really
Correct.
leveling the playing field. I love that.
Right. And keep in mind, it doesn't have to be specific. You may
Yeah.
have someone listening that's a veteran.
Yeah.
I would tell you that there are funding set aside for service-disabled veterans. But sometimes it's a bigger picture. Like we talk a lot about what's called SBIR funding.
Okay.
And that has nothing to do with specific target individuals. It's more of a larger spectrum of open innovation and making sure people are aware of the funding.
Okay. Yeah. So SBIR funding, explain to us just what that is now that we've mentioned it, what that stands for and
sorry.
what that is. That's okay. Yeah, I just want people to know.
So let me bring it to a story.
Okay,
because
perfect.
I think that will help. Okay,
Yeah.
and I'm all about stories. I'm a storyteller.
Yeah.
In 2010, I was sitting in this office and I was frustrated because I believe there's a lot of people out there that have great ideas, but they can't go to their local bank and say, "Hey, I have a great idea. Trust me, it's going to work. Can you just give me $100,000?" Right? Especially if it's early stage.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes with venture capital. People always say, "Oh, I want an investor." What are they investing in right now? It's early stage. So here I was in my office, frustrated, because I kept seeing these great ideas going to the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, we've got to save their lives. We have to bring those ideas back. And so I found out about SBIR, STTR, which I'll explain to the audience.
Okay.
Basically, SBIR stands for Small Business Innovation Research. Essentially what that means is you have a great idea and the government wants to help you bring that idea to the market. So in 2010, I fly to the national conference and I'm sitting there with hundreds of people listening to all the funding opportunities, and I think to myself, oh my goodness, I cannot believe it. I just hit the jackpot. I felt like I just found a leprechaun, and nobody told me about it. So I go back to Oregon, and I start doing this analysis. I want to find out where this money is going.
Yeah.
I want to find out who's getting it and how much. And then I realized that millions and millions and millions of dollars were coming into the state of Oregon, going to businesses around innovation, but only a couple of hundred were getting it. So what SBIR is let's say you're sitting there and you're thinking, "This is a great idea. I have a new educational application to support kids with autism. But it's new. I'm not sure how to figure it out." That could be a program that SBIR would probably pay for or consider working with you on. So what happens is that if you apply for they're grants, most of them are grants, you can get up to $150,000 to test if it's feasible. That doesn't mean you have to build the application. That doesn't mean you have to go out and start doing the business. Just, is it feasible? And if it's feasible, the government will allow you to apply for what's called phase 2, and you can get up to $2 million over 2 years to actually build it.
Wow.
To do the infrastructure, to do the prototype, to do everything you need to make sure it can commercialize. I was so excited about this conference, Michael, and nobody was listening to me. Now, one thing you'll learn about me is if I believe that there has to be access and nobody's going to listen, I'm going to find a way to make sure they pay attention.
Yeah.
So in 2012, I was responsible for bringing the national conference for SBIR to the state of Oregon. And people were paying attention because 11 federal agencies showed up. So when you have the Department of Defense in your state or the National Institute of Health in your state, you start paying attention. You start thinking, maybe we should be doing something. So as a result of that, we are now seeing momentum in Oregon where people are learning about this program. And so we are starting to do trainings around that. So for your audience right now, if you're excited, if you think, you know what, I have something for the Defense Department, I have something around clean tech, I have something around education, I want you to, after you finish this viewing, I want you to go online, and I'm going to give you a website because I want to empower you to learn about it. If that's okay, Michael.
Absolutely, yeah.
Here's the website, www.zyn.com. zyn.com. When you get on there, you're going to see SBIR Gateway. Press on it. And to the left, everything you want to know about SBIR, the funding and when it happens, it's going to be there. And if you want to know about the classes, you could always follow up with us. But that is the first step, is educating you on where the money is. Because if you don't know where the party is, you'll never be invited.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
there'll be a lot of nuggets during this where I'll give you some resources for anybody interested to start accessing immediately.
Yeah, this is perfect. And I'll link all of this information that Kedma mentions, I'm going to link up on the show notes on the startup sessions. So just go to this episode and everything will be linked up there as well. That's fantastic. And that's so incredible. You know, I think when we first met, you talked about, I don't remember the exact term, but you see yourself as a person who removes obstacles.
Yes.
And that is a huge one. The money, you know, honestly, and this can be open for debate a little bit, but I'm a huge believer in bootstrapping your way to success because I've done that before and that works for me. But I also see opportunities for entrepreneurs where they do need capital and they do need money and they do need things to carry their business forward. So, so this is a perfect scenario which it removes a huge obstacle. It removes the money obstacle perhaps to move forward. So that's incredible, Kedma.
And Michael, you bring up a good point because I'm the queen of bootstrapping.
Okay.
I'm serious when I say that. I am always wheeling and dealing. I am a shrewd negotiator.
Yeah.
And probably because I grew up in a culture that fostered that. But I don't see debt financing as a first option.
Yeah.
And I don't see equity financing as the first option. So for your audience, what that means is I am not the person that's going to tell you to go get a loan first, which is debt financing. And I'm not the person that's going to go and tell you to give up 20% of your equity for a company you believe in as a first option. But I do believe a first option is if there's free money, you need to get it.
Yeah.
If there's money set aside to help you build your company and make life a little bit easier, you need to know about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of the things I think that stops, especially the people that I work with that are in early stage startups or entrepreneurs, they might be struggling with, you know, gosh, how do I move from this side hustle to quitting my job so I can focus my full attention on my business? So their business might be up and rolling, but they never really get the traction of it because they can't financially make it work to step away and have a little cushion for a few months to dedicate that full time and energy to their business. So this could be a perfect solution to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is exactly it. Because if they were able to tap into a significant amount of funds, 100, 150,000, to support them moving forward, that could be the game changer for them.
Yeah. That's powerful. Okay. Wow. Right off the bat, we hit on something big and something very actionable for people that really want to take a business forward and maybe money's the issue. Well, maybe it's not.
Maybe it's not.
Maybe it's not because there are resources out there. All right. Powerful. Let's see. I'm trying to think if I want to go deeper on this or switch gears a little bit.
Whatever works.
Well, how about this? So you deal day in and day out with a lot of people that are innovators and bringing ideas and businesses to you. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people unknowingly making when they're getting ready to launch their businesses or their ideas?
Well, let me show you it as an example. I don't know if you can see my hands, but I'm going to bring my hands down here a little.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are my hands cradling.
Yes.
and I'm going to bring it up.
Okay.
What happens is they're cradling their baby. It's their baby. Their baby's so beautiful. They love their baby. They're feeding their baby. And whatever you do, don't say anything bad about their baby. So the first thing we do is we acknowledge that they brought a baby to the office, and we want to acknowledge how important that baby is.
Yeah.
And then we try to separate that emotion.
Okay.
So really what happens first is we have to separate passion from reality. Okay? And not to say that passion isn't important, but there's a fundamental piece that's problematic that happens with many, many early stage companies. They forget to do what's called feasibility.
Mm-hmm.
And really the art of feasibility is how do you stay objective with your concept, with your idea, with your business, and look at it with all angles. You know, so when we talk about a term in business called SWOT, SWOT means we look at the strengths and the weaknesses and opportunities and threats of a company.
Mm-hmm.
So many times someone comes to me and says, I have a great idea. It's the best idea. Kedma,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, no one else knows about this idea, and this idea is going to change the world. I feel like I'm in a sermon sometimes with people. And so they start singing to me about this. And if I ask them, what are the challenges? There's no challenge. The only challenge is you haven't given me money. Okay? So I hear this over and over and over again. And what we try to do is we try to get them to a place where they can observe and really look at ways to strengthen their concept by actually looking at feasibility.
Okay.
So that would be the first thing I would say is problematic. People do not do their due diligence ahead of time. They don't do enough research ahead of time. And then they fall into a puddle and say, what happened? How did this happen to me? Where did this come from? And then part of it is because people are rushing very, very fast to go to traffic.
Yeah.
So I would say that's problematic. The second biggest thing, believe it or not, is they think because they're going to be in business for themselves, they consider it business by themselves. Big problem. Big problem. I tell people who think like that they should go and purchase a very nice island, have a couple of coconuts, hang out there with their internet. But for the rest of the world, community is where business happens.
Yeah.
Community is where business happens. So they need to be connected. And they need to be connected to what we call the connectors. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm privileged. I am a connector. Think about a connector as someone who knows about business. They're in the mafia of business. Now, not in the mafia of, extortion, but in the connection of that mafia. They know where to go. They know how to get the best deal. They know who you need to talk to. So you need to find those connectors in your community because they're going to make your life easy. Right? So if you came to me, for example, Michael, and said, I have this phenomenal new product in the houseware industry. I've developed this spatula that will not only cook while I'm sleeping, but make me the best meal possible. I may say to you, that's a great idea, Michael. Why don't we pick up the phone and call one of my good friends, Warren, who happens to look at 4,000 houseware products a year and is connected to one of the largest innovation companies in the world around the houseware industry. Now, it may take you a few years to get there, but for me, it would be one phone call for 15 minutes to get the answer we need.
Wow.
That's what I mean about finding the connectors so it can make your job easier.
Yes.
I would say those two
huge.
problems, if you can resolve that would make a lot of the early stage businesses make their opportunity move forward a lot quicker with a lot less problems.
Absolutely, I would agree with that. I mean, those two things alone, I don't know if you have any statistics on how that would improve the success rate of someone's business idea, but I would just say tremendously. And talk about years. You can start connecting with, people that I might call industry experts, And
Right.
you've all of a sudden, you've taken years off
Years.
of
Right.
your journey to success.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I love it.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay.
Now, there could be a negative, so I'm going to tell the audience this.
Yeah.
My husband, when we go shopping and we're in the car, this is what he says. Kedma, when you go in, just get the bread. Don't ask the baker how he's feeling, what business he wants to get into, and don't offer it, but just get the bread. You see, because I'm always talking to people. I was just on an airplane back from Kansas, and I happened to sit next to an introvert.
Yeah.
And I'm an extrovert, so I kept checking in with him, how he's doing. And halfway through the conversation, he took out a big bag of pills, and he started popping them. And I said, are you trying to fall asleep? So there could be, because I am a connector, I make it a point to talk to everyone. And just because you put your headset on, that doesn't stop me. So if you're ever on an airplane, I see you taking some pills, I know you're trying to pass out.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I'm a connector too, but I don't think to the level that you are, Kedma.
Exactly.
Oh man, that's funny. All right. So if I'm an entrepreneur then, and I come into and I sit down with you and I've got my dream, my big idea,
Right.
How do you find that balance between bringing someone down to earth a little bit on, hey, have you done your feasibility study around this? How do you find that balance between, not killing their dream, but at the same time really doing the groundwork that you need to do to put some legs under that thing?
That's a great question. So here's how I handle it.
Yeah.
We first have to agree on what the goal is. So if they come in and we agree that their goal is to get into business within a specific industry.
Yeah.
So they will both. So Michael, you and I agree. You and I agree that you're here and you want to get into business, right? You want to leave your job. You want to get into business and ownership. And Michael will say, yes. Okay, we're agreeing on that. And you also agree, Michael, that you want to stay within your industry, right? You don't want to change a different industry. Okay, we agree on that. Where we are open for negotiation, though, Michael, is how we get there.
Okay.
We can decide multiple routes to getting there. We can decide multiple funding streams. We can decide multiple strategies. As long as you can trust that we're going to get to where you want to be, you have to be open to how we get there. And how we get there is feasibility. Because if we go down that path and you are adamant that you have to provide a specific process that is no longer or doesn't fit your customers, that's open for negotiation. So let me give you a real life example, another story that will be specific to show you what that looks like.
Okay.
I had a client who came to us who said he's developed an amazing product, a product that I guarantee 90% of your customers or people listening to this would love. He has developed a pet bed liner to reduce or eliminate 90% of the pet hair that your pets do when they're out, in your home, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody loves their pets.
Yeah.
But I haven't yet met someone who said, oh my God, I love that pet hair sitting on my couch. I've been dying to put some extra pet hair on the bed. Nobody wants that. Okay? So, great idea. His idea, though, was biodegradable and disposable. What that means is people would use a pet liner 2 times, 3 times, they get rid of it. Mm-hmm. For him, he liked that because it would be a constant purchase of the item. So we agreed. He wanted this idea. We agreed on the invention. We agreed that the solution was pet hair. How we got there was a different story. Okay. We did a focus group. We brought in pet group owners. We brought in the pets. We had them tested. We had them send them home. You know what happened? All the pet owners loved the pet liner, but they threw them in the laundry. They didn't want to throw them out. So the pet liners kept being thrown in the laundry, and the pet owner came back and said, I don't want this. I don't want them thrown in the laundry. That's going to affect my cash flow.
Right.
I said, whoa, 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 whoa. I understand what you want, but your customers are asking for something different. Well, he disagreed. So you know what I did? I got my connector out. Set up a meeting with the former vice president of Banfield. I don't know if you know who Banfield is.
I do, yeah.
They happen to run thousands of stores around the country.
Yeah.
So I set up a one-on-one lunch meeting with him. Guess what the vice president of Banfield said? Great idea, but we really want to have it so that it could be used in the reuse. So back in the washing machine.
Yeah.
So client has to go back now because the customer is spoken. Right? So I still agree with the idea, but we're negotiating on how we execute that idea.
Okay.
And that is feasibility.
Okay, and that's such a perfect example too, because the guy had an idea. This is what this is what I need. Yet you've got people and an industry mogul leader saying, no, this is what people want. And so you're meeting, you're pivoting, you're whatever you want to call that in a place that really allows that person to succeed with the idea.
Correct.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. That's a powerful story.
Yeah.
Okay, and that really illustrates the point and drives it home.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's
because it's not me saying it, Michael.
Yeah.
It's not me saying it. When you ask me how do I do it, I never tell them that they have a bad idea. I show them what their customers are telling them.
Mm-hmm. That's brilliant. I love it. So much good stuff. All right. The time is just flying with you, Kedma.
I know. I feel like we haven't even started. We have so much to talk about.
We may have to do a follow-up interview sometime in the future.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do I want to go next? Let me ask you this, because we've spent a half hour speaking already. What advice would you give to others who want to start their own business or, pursue that idea or that work that they love, but maybe they're just like up against that, but being too scared to take the leap? How do you bridge the gap between the wanting to do something and up against that fear of making it happen?
Fear is important, right? Fear makes you pay attention, right? It's when you're little and you put your hand by something hot and you know what? I'm not going to touch that again.
Yeah.
But for those people who feel that, if fear is paralyzing you to the point of not pursuing what you're meant to do, then you have to step up. You have to work through the fear. Because most of the time, what we're afraid of is not reality, right? You have people out there that are ready to help you and that are doing it. And so one of the ways you can eliminate fear is start putting a project together. I travel all over the world, and people say, how do you do that, Kedma? How do you do it? I go, you know how I do it? Pay attention now, guys. This is important. This is what I do. I go online, and I book my airline ticket. Okay? That's how I do it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't pay for the hotel at the time. I don't pay for tours at the time because I have to raise enough money to do that, especially if I'm doing large trips.
Yep.
But once I pay the airplane ticket, I am now committed.
Yeah.
So I would ask them, what are you committed to? Spend an hour committing yourself to something. I am the wrong consultant if you're just, let me think about it. Let me go to other people. I am not the right consultant because when you come and meet with me, it's time to play the game.
Yeah.
Right? So I think I honor people who are in fear. I mean, I lived my life in fear. I know what it's like to go hungry and not have a place. And many of the people who are listening to this, they're probably not in that position. They probably have a lot of tools out there, but they're just afraid to take the leap. But what's the alternative? The alternative is that your dreams die in a cemetery. That's the alternative. And so, I would hope that if I can have one person who hears you, here's this, wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to take a chance, then we've done our job.
Yes. I would agree with you 100% right there.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm afraid every day. I want to tell everyone. I get afraid every day because you know what I do? I push myself every day into places that are so uncomfortable.
Yeah. And the fear doesn't go away. But
It never goes away.
But you do build a muscle in terms of being able to like push through. I'm a big proponent of not going around, but going through. That's like the quickest way to really address something is to get as comfortable as you can with moving through it.
Right.
Buy the airline ticket.
Buy the airline ticket.
Great. All right. Kedma, this is so good. Let's head into the lightning round. I've got a few questions for you here.
Okay.
People are always curious on some kind of tidbits of information about my guests. So this is a good way to give them a little glimpse into some of your favorite things, some of the things that influence you. So the first question I have for you is, what's been the most influential book for you?
The 4-Hour Workweek.
Okay.
Without a doubt. The 4-Hour Workweek, because I love Tim Ferriss. I believe in his philosophy. Yep. I follow that process in terms of how do you condense your work and still have an opportunity to enjoy your life. Yes. And an interesting story, a colleague of mine, I gave the book, and he also works in my office, and he came in about 2 months ago, and he goes, Kedma, his name is Carol, by the way, he goes, Kedma, you know that book you lent me, The 4-Hour Workweek? I go, yeah, isn't that amazing? He goes, Kedma, I didn't realize you were actually living the 4-Hour Workweek because he rarely sees me. So I do try to practice the 4-Hour Workweek. So that's one of my favorite books. Great,
thank you. And that could be a whole other, as a side note, interview in and of itself, because I think a lot of people, as they go into business, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to set up a business and make it thrive. But you've obviously figured out some things along the way that allow you to streamline the work that you do and still enjoy the things that you love to do as well.
Yep.
So I've just noted that for future reference here.
Sounds good.
All right. So for you, best conference or industry event that you attend and why?
Oh, for me, it's easy because I'm a national speaker. So it's the National Speaking Association. NSA, National Speakers Association, is unbelievable. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, this is not from an ego thing, so let me disclose. But imagine being in a room with 1,000 people who are like me. Yeah. Champions, industry experts, and unbelievable, I'm enamored by their ability to capture words and information in such a way and then pass that on through the art of speaking. Yeah. And so I had an opportunity to go to that national conference last year, and it was the only conference that I booked for next year's conference at the conference.
Okay. All right.
So if you are a game changer and you say, you know what, I not only want to do this business, but I want to educate others and I want to speak about it and I want to train others, you have to go to the National Speakers Association because there's no competition. Yeah. Because everyone has their own niche, but everyone is working together to improve their ability to speak. So the classes are on storytelling and comedy, and it's just absolutely amazing. It's so exciting.
Okay. I love it. And here's something that I've got to ask because I know that this is going to come up. People are going to say, that sounds great, but I'm not Kedma. I'm not the person who sits on the airplane and talks to someone next to me. I'm an introvert.
Okay, got it. I'm an introvert. Got it. So the question is, how do we do that, or what's your question?
The question is, I'm an introvert, me being someone out there listening or watching this show.
Right.
Are there introverts that go to the NSA?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know who they are, but I'm sure they're there. No, there are introverts. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Your accountant is probably an introvert.
Yeah.
But you respect him, right? Yeah. You have to find a job or a business or vocation that fits within your personality.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to shock everyone in this audience when I tell you something. Because I grew up in a very difficult home, I was actually afraid of talking to people. I was so afraid that I remember asking my younger sister to call the operator because I thought the operator knew who I was. And what I had to do is I had to learn how to speak with people. You know, my comfort zone, if I was to be honest with you, my comfort zone is to, and I cannot believe I'm going to share this with the audience. Nobody knows this. Now everybody's going to know this. My nickname that my family calls me is Turtle. Turtle.
Wow.
What is a turtle? A turtle is a little animal that buries into their shell. If I wasn't such an extrovert, I would be a turtle. I would be a ultra introvert.
Yeah.
So part of this is forcing myself out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know, and so for the people that are introverts, be who you are. But if you have to play a role in your business, which requires you to be an extrovert, then you have to go this week and sign up for Toastmasters. That is your job.
Yeah.
You are going to this week sign up for Toastmasters, and you're going to notify Michael that you did this. So we know that you've done it, okay? That's part of accountability. Because Toastmasters is safe, and it's going to get you out of that uncomfortability, because some of the work you have to do may require you to be an extrovert.
Yeah. True. All right. Thank you for that story about the turtle. I mean, that's I wouldn't have guessed that in a million years, Kedma.
Yeah.
And that's powerful. That's, you know, being a little bit I guess the word is vulnerable
vulnerable.
is often what allows us to connect more deeply with people.
Exactly.
So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
The next question is, what's the most effective strategy for growing your business?
Oh, that's tough. There's so many. I think we've talked about a couple. I think surrounding yourself with people you trust, and that does not mean your family. Okay? Do not. I have a rule with people. They go and say, "Well, I have to tell my husband." Why? Why? Does he? In some places, sometimes it's appropriate.
Yeah.
But if you're talking to a family member that A, doesn't understand it, or B, doesn't support it, why would you subject yourself to that? So I would say surround yourself with people who understand. And also, advice is not free, Michael.
Yeah.
So be cautious where you get that advice, because if you get advice from someone who hasn't done it, who doesn't want to do it, or who's afraid of doing it, and you take that advice and implement it based on that, then it's a cost to you.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I was just going to ask you what you meant by advice is not free, but that clears it up.
Yep. It's not free. So I always qualify my advice. I never ask someone. So, for example, right now, I'll disclose I have a 9-year-old who's on the autism spectrum. So we work through things, and we came up with a family business idea. It's a food product we're working on as a family. Now, I could ask Michael, what do you think about this food product? Or I can ask my mother, what do you think about the food product? And it doesn't mean that what their response is wrong, but I decided that the best person to ask is the Food Innovation Center in Oregon, because they're going to give me a much broader, specific, specialized response, which would support what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Fantastic. Love it. All right. Favorite business tool or resource?
People.
People.
I have to tell you, people.
Yeah.
People will move you through mountains and open doors that no tool could ever do for you. Yeah. That's the truth. If you can give half of what you give to your iPad or to your iPhone in people, you will move mountains. You will build what I call the karma dollars. My husband says to me all the time, how do you get all these things? Why do they do this for you? I said, because Cameron, while you're building regular dollars, I build karma dollars.
Yeah.
And karma dollars go a lot further.
They do. I love that. I love that term, karma dollars. My wife's an expert karma dollar builder too.
Really?
She could ask someone in London or New York or whatever for something, and they would give it to her within 30 seconds. It's crazy.
There you go. So I would tell you, audience, start building the karma dollars.
Yeah.
I trust people unless they give me reason not to, but most people don't trust people unless they give them reason to.
Yeah.
So, karma dollars.
Karma dollars. Love it. All right. Last question for you, Kedma.
Yes.
What's your most recent exciting adventure or your favorite hobby? I have a feeling for you these might wind together.
I think they're both. So
Okay.
I have two favorite in both. I told you, and I'll tell the audience, I get out of my comfort zone all the time.
Yeah.
So last week, I spent a week at the Kaufman Foundation, which is the largest nonprofit organization in the country specifically designed for entrepreneurial curriculum. And we just signed a licensing deal to be their West Coast. And so I had an opportunity to meet with university professors from Singapore, from Cameroon. It was just absolutely amazing. And then yesterday, I flew in, and I arranged an incredible, which I want to tell your audience, an incredible event, got me out of my comfort zone again. The head of the U.S. Patent Office for Independent Inventors was here to showcase, and we are kicking off the U.S. Patent Office for the state of Oregon pro bono program. We are now going to be offering pro bono IP, so that means you have a great idea, but you don't have the money to file a patent. You don't know how to go through the process. If you qualify, you can go through the program and have that come as a gift for you. And so it is absolutely exciting. So I was in a room with about half a dozen attorneys from all over the state looking to help support this new pro bono program we're going to be launching.
Wow. Okay.
So
And
that's what I'm doing.
I love it. You're involved in so many things. A true heart of an entrepreneur, involved in many things, pursuing many passions at the same time.
Correct.
Okay. So you may have just answered kind of my follow-up here, but I want to always leave people with what you're most excited about. What's next for you? What exciting thing do you really want people to know about right now?
You know, it's hard to be honestly, Michael, because every morning I wake up excited. I go to Starbucks and they say, "How are you doing?" And I always say, "I'm fantastic." They're like, "Why? Why are you fantastic?" I'm like, "Because I live in Portland. It's the most amazing state. It's the state of Oregon's amazing. I love life." So when you ask me that question, what am I excited about? I'm excited about life.
I love that.
I'm excited about every morning waking up and making a difference and realizing I have too many opportunities. That's my problem.
Yeah.
Because I believe that opportunities show up every single day. Every single day. So I think I'm excited about the understanding that we have an obligation to show people how to live in a world where they wake up excited every day.
Wow. Okay, that's powerful. I love that.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because if you're excited about your life, you will trickle that to everything you touch.
Yeah, it spills out to everyone around
Everywhere.
you. Yeah.
Right. So if I was the magnet for that, that is my goal, so that everybody wakes up and says, "You know what? Today's the new day.
Yeah.
Today is the day that I'm not going to be pessimistic anymore. That I'm not going to feel sorry for myself anymore, and that I'm going to wake up and say, oh my God, this is the most amazing day, and I have so much to do. Where do I begin?"
Well said, Kedma. You certainly do. You embody that as good or better than anyone else that I know.
Thank you.
So you walk your walk and talk your talk. And I appreciate
And it's not easy.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, Michael. It is not easy. I have my days where I have my pity party for 10 minutes, and that's it. I have a rule. It's 10 minutes. I time myself from 9 to 9:10, and I pity myself. But after that pity party, that's it. You have to move forward.
Yeah. Okay. Great. All right, Kedma. You have
Gosh, I'm so sorry it's ending.
I know, me too. We could spend a lot longer than we've spent just having a blast here. But you've given so many great actionable tips, things, resources for people to tap into immediately, right now, to take their businesses, to take their ideas and move them forward, or perhaps regenerate them if they've kind of lost faith along the way.
Right.
So I'm going to connect people to all the resources you mentioned in this web show.
Absolutely.
As well as the websites for your organizations, MyPo Oregon and Avita Business, which is avitabiz.com and MyPo, MIPO, Oregon.org. So I'll link those up in the show notes. Kedma, thank you so much for being on the show today. This has been an amazing time.
Much.
I really appreciate fitting this into your busy schedule. And I have a feeling we're going to have to do this again because there's so much good stuff here.
So.
Yeah.
And actually, before we close, here's my challenge to everyone.
Okay, great.
If you have questions, send them to Michael, and if there's enough questions, we'll do a follow-up and go through every single question as part of that. So we leave the door open.
Love it.
All right. Thank you.
I love that. All right. Thanks. Thank you very much, Kedma. Bye. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you on next week's episode of the Startup Sessions. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey, if you enjoyed this interview, be sure to go to thestartupsessions.com and sign up to have the latest interviews delivered to your inbox weekly. All of these interviews are also offered on video at thestartupsessions.com or get the audio version via the Startup Sessions podcast. Just hop on over to iTunes and subscribe to the podcast there. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I know that your time is valuable, so I do my very best to provide the most inspirational and actionable content for creating a meaningful business. I'll see you on the next episode of the Startup Sessions.